All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the IDEA Committee meeting of November 16th, 2022. Staff, will you please read the preamble?
This meeting is compliant with the Ralph M. Brown Act as amended by California Assembly Bill number 361, effective September 16, 2021, providing for a public health emergency exception to the standard teleconference rules required by the Brown Act. The purpose of this is to provide a safe environment for the public, staff, and committee members while allowing for public participation. The public may address the committee members using exclusively remote public comment options. The committee may take action on any item listed in the agenda. The IDEA Committee meeting will be an exclusively virtual meeting. The IDEA Committee meeting agenda materials may be viewed online at brisbaneca.org at least 24 hours prior to a special meeting and at least 72 hours prior to a regular meeting. To view the meeting, please join the meeting with the Zoom information. Meeting participants are encouraged to submit public comments in writing in advance of the meeting. Aside from the commenting while in the Zoom meeting, the following email and text line will also be monitored during the meeting, and public comments received will be noted into the record during oral communications or an item. Email ipadilla@brisbaneca.org, text 628-219-2922. Join the Zoom meeting with the ID 816-0979-9931 and the passcode 123456 and the call-in number 1-669-900-9128. If you need special assistance to participate in this meeting, please call the city clerk at 415-508-2113. Notification in advance of the meeting will enable the city to make reasonable arrangements to ensure accessibility to this meeting. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. I'm calling this meeting to order at 7:05 p.m. Staff, roll call, please.
I'm sorry, let me just back up here.
Sure.
Let's see, we got Chair Locke.
Here.
Oh my gosh, it's coming.
Okay.
Co-Chair Horton.
Here.
Committee Member Kolhatkar. Okay, Committee Member.
You're here?
Yeah. Oh, there.
Sorry, I'm late.
Committee Member Naida.
Here.
And Committee Member Oseta.
Hi, yes, here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It looks like Committee Member Bustos is absent today.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm Yash. First order of business, approve of agenda. Can I get a first and a second to approve the agenda as it stands?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
And I'll second. Staff, roll call vote, please.
Chair Locke.
Aye.
Vice Chair Horton.
Aye.
We have Committee Member Kolhatkar.
Aye.
Committee Member Naida. Okay. Did you? Let's see. And Committee Member Oseta.
Aye.
Okay. Thank you. Now, at this time, is there a member of the public wishing to make a public comment?
There are none.
Thank you so much. All right, then let's move on to old business. First off, item A, receive a report out of the United Against Hate Week. Staff report, please.
Sure, I can provide a quick overview of the event that happened on Monday. As you know, we had a youth poetry workshop and poetry slam at the library from 3 to 5. And that was also attended by one of our YAC members, as well as 15 youth from the community came out just after 3:15. They all kind of swarmed down to the library, and Mayor Mackin gave some introductory words, reminding them of just the importance of staying visible if people are like talking badly or bullying or hating them, that they should always be visible and not feel like they need to be hidden. And so I think they really understood and were nodding as she was talking. And there was a poetry workshop then that was conducted by 2 members of Lyrical Opposition. So Jen Luna and Ashley were there, and they had printouts of kind of like a Mad Libs poem, which was titled I Am. So they filled in the blanks of just I am, and then it had like where you're from and what's like elements of your household. And they had a good time going through that with some assistance, but also the fun part was being able to see them perform. Those that wanted to in the second hour got up, and Ingrid's son actually led the pack and performed his poem first. And I'll just share my screen really quickly to show some pictures. We also had someone from the County Arts and Culture Commission attend. She had heard about the event from our blast or city manager's weekly update that was shared on our Facebook page, and she heard about the event, and she represents District 5, which Brisbane is included in. So she's like, I don't really know too much about Brisbane. I saw the event, wanted to come down, and she had some flyers too that she wanted to share about if you're a youth that lives in Brisbane but attends school in Daly City, you could apply to potentially be the Daly City Youth Poet Laureate. There's a 5,000 honorarium, and just wanted to make sure that we knew about that. So we're going to publicize that in this week's class. And then there's a Poetry Out Loud program that allows youth to sign up, and they can be coached with someone and paired up with a coach and work on public speaking and poetry writing and have a chance to compete in February. They're going to do a competition countywide. So it's nice to meet her. Her name is Victoria. And that was one of her first events in Brisbane, and she thought it was great. She stayed the whole time. And as you can see, Mayor Mackin is sharing some introductory words. And then here's the workshop. The workshop leaders is Ashley, working with them. And this is like the room. We had posters that were set out in the back. United Against Hate posts, Brisbane stands United Against Hate posters. We also had Brisbane hats that came in. We reordered those blue Brisbane hats, and so we had 24 to give out at the event, and they all went. We had 4 left. That was perfect to give to the library staff for just helping with that event and setting up the room. And so that's our YAC member, Orion, and some of the boys. We also had someone who wasn't a youth, but someone from an adult joined, and he performed his poem too. So this is our Instagram that you can go and hear the poems read. And the library earlier today, or maybe yesterday, they set out this display. I think the idea committee had said, oh, it'd be nice to have just some books curated and a little display. So they have this as you walk into the right near their circulation desk or their info desk. Nicole, one of the librarians, was saying that she's had, she's waiting, her picks for books are slowly coming in, but so far she has a couple out. And she'll still be adding to it this week. And took some pictures of our staff, Officer Malone and Paul from our public works crew with the poster. And tomorrow at the city council meeting at 7:30, there's going to be a proclamation for standing against hate. So I think that would be, I think Ingrid also had someone receive the proclamation. Maybe it's already determined, but
It'll just be read by our mayor
oh, okay. So
at this point.
okay. maybe someone from the idea committee would want to, if anyone's available, to receive it. But you'd have to let Ingrid know if you're available tomorrow at 7:30. And it's generally just right after the meeting starts at the top of the agenda. But yeah, that's basically the week. And I'm sure we're going to continue to take part in this week in the coming years. This was just our first time. So we still have posters out at City Hall if anyone wanted to grab one. And yeah, we also shared that the county was doing an event today, a Facebook Live actually, that happened at 5. So yeah, just sharing the information, but the main event was on Monday with the poetry slam. So I really thank Lyrical Opposition for their help in hosting that at the library. So Christian probably heard about it, all about it. If he wanted to add anything or yeah, that he had great representation there with Jen Luna and Ashley. Hey Christian.
Hey, yeah, it was great. I heard great things. I'm glad it worked out, and I'm glad we had a poetry slam. And yeah, I heard Ingrid's son represented very well. So yeah,
Yes, he did. That's all for me about the report out.
Well, I'm really glad that you guys were able to do it so quickly. I know that it was a very last minute thing. So thank you, staff, and everyone else who was really involved in it. And I think this would be a great thing to kind of set for the future. So that way we're a little more prepared. We kind of know what's going to happen now. And next year, it goes on for an entire week. So maybe next year we could have multiple events spread throughout the week. But I'm really happy that you guys were able to pull it off so quickly. So thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, I'd like to second that as well. So sounds like a great event. Unfortunately, we, I was hoping I'd have some time to attend at least part of it. But yeah, thanks to everyone, especially to Caroline and to Christian for making this event what seems to have been a very, very successful event. And definitely, it also from the idea committee standpoint, it is also kind of we have gotten some visibility there, and the community now gets to know what the idea committee does, and this will also encourage future participation, and perhaps even encourage other community members to think of consider joining the idea committee at some point. So our terms are up. So thanks again for a great event.
Dear Locke, I actually have public comment here from a member that attended the event.
Right.
Hello.
Great job sharing, Erin. Your poem, your high-end poem.
Yeah, she's borrowing my computer.
We're in the live meeting.
Thank you for letting her borrow your computer. Was that fun for you, Erin? You didn't look nervous at all. Was that fun sharing your poem at the poetry slam?
Yeah, it was fun because all my friends were there.
Yeah, that helps.
are you going to share your poem at the committee meeting?
Yeah.
What's that, Christian?
I was going to ask Aaron if he's going to perform his poem at the committee meeting. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you want me to play it? I could play it.
Oh no.
No.
No? Okay.
His friends aren't here now.
That's also something that Mayor Mackin emphasized, to form alliances and to, always be sharing and being in a group. Don't be by yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The talk that she did before the before we started.
Yeah, it was a good one. I think you guys really were listening intently. It looked like you guys are nodding. You guys are understanding. So great.
Thank you, Erin.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This is really great to see, especially, people talking about this topic. not trying not to talk, but and then also people are kind of smiling when they're talking about this topic. This is a kind of sensitive topic, but this is kind of start of positive movement happening in Brisbane. That's what I'm really happy to see that. Yeah, thank you so much.
Great. So Kellen, I did have one question about the library books. Are there multiple copies where people can actually take them out, or is it mostly just a display?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They can be checked out, and she probably has a few more now that she would just replace it if it's checked out. But yeah, I saw that what she had was, yeah, something for adults, something for kids. So yeah, I mentioned that would be great to have that. The idea committee would like to see something that was not just for adults, but for kids too.
Yeah, I think I have to get a library card now. This
Yes,
is a good excuse.
you should. Yeah, and there's people took stickers, so stuck them right onto their water bottles at the event. So the idea committee, I think, is getting more known in the community. So
Yeah, and I love the platform, really, the stickers constantly, now the posters. And I think we could really build some great momentum, and we just kind of have to keep at it so that it doesn't become an afterthought in people's mind. And we, I guess in the subcommittee meetings, we should definitely talk about what's the next thing that we should do. That way it's still fresh in everyone's mind. I know the holidays are coming up, but I think we have a lot of great things planned for next year.
Yeah, like how to create a drum beat, so it's not just sort of every once in a while.
Is this always the third week of November, or is there a chance that might change?
our meeting dates?
No, I think
No, the
sorry.
United Against Hate Week.
Oh, it does seem to be always, yeah, this third week. So definitely calendar it. So we can plan better, or just more in advance.
so. What was the turnout for adults? Because I know 3 to 5 was actually kind of random of a work day.
I know, and this is just the prime time for library programming since it's an after school time. And there was 3 adults there. I mean, one was a babysitter for one of the kids, but she actually helped to share his poem. He was a little shy, so she shared it for him, so at least his words were able to be heard. But yeah, about 3 adults. I think the hats were a draw. We did a post prior. The hats came in that day, so quickly just put the flyer or the poster next to the hat, and someone who came, one of the adults was like, "Are the hats for sale?" And I said, "No, they're not, but please stay." And she did.
No, that's nice.
So we can, yeah, definitely incorporate the hats again.
I'm glad you had it back.
You can get one of those too. Library card, hat.
Yeah. And then a water bottle so I could put the stickers on. Well, I have my own water bottle. So does any other member of the committee have any questions or comments? All right, let's move on to the second order of old business, the Stand with Asians flag request. It's been an ongoing issue, and we had talked about it in our subcommittee meetings. So staff report, please.
Like to start it off, Stuart?
Sure. I can cover it from the policy committee. So the policy committee had a really good meeting about it, and you have a staff report based on what the subcommittee discussed that there's a number of areas that a policy should incorporate. The question, and I think the big concern for the subcommittee was that they wanted to make sure that it met the guidelines as posted, as the Supreme Court understood it through the Boston case. And the big issue in the Boston case is that as long as it is government speech, you can do, it's a lot easier to do and to make sure that you're within the confines of what you're doing. We talked to the attorneys today and just a little bit input from them. What they were suggesting is that what the policy or the procedure should be for the flags is to allow the city manager to allow flags that are to be put up on city flagpoles that have proclamations that the city council have approved in the past associated with them. And I think that's very much in line with what the subcommittee was talking about. The question I think that the subcommittee wanted to wrestle with a little bit was having the ability for, if somebody comes in with a request for a flag that we haven't put up in the past, how would we go about putting that up in the future? And I think what the procedure might talk about is having the subcommittee, having the idea committee work with the resident to determine, if there's a proclamation that can be done on behalf of that group. And then once that proclamation is done, the city manager would then be authorized to put up a flag. I think that may make it a quicker process than than other ways would do it. By allowing the city manager to make the determination on a daily basis whether or not there's a proclamation that he can point to say, yes, this flag meets that. So you take the flag that is being discussed tonight about Stand With Asians. We do have a proclamation as Caroline said, coming up this week about United Against Hate. The city manager would be say that that's within that boundary of United Against Hate. So therefore he would be able to say that, yes, if we have a flag that's appropriate, we could put it up. So I think if that's something acceptable to the committee, staff can work on drafting that kind of a procedure and bring it back to the committee to look at. Obviously, the biggest concerns from the attorneys is making sure that it is something that's written out, that you can point to, that makes logical sense. The other aspect that the subcommittee talked about is potentially that when the park at Sierra Point is built, that you put a number of flags that are there to create something that might be considered like a peace park or something to that effect, where you have permanent poles where you can have flags fly on a permanent basis and not on a limited basis. And you combine that with potentially a piece of artwork around the idea of peace or unity, and you can create a very serene monument towards the idea of peace and unity in the community that people can go to and appreciate. And that would, then allow the 3 flagpoles in the city park to be used for the United States flag, the state of California flag, and then if we can, if we can agree upon one, a Brisbane flag. So I think that would be the long-term process. On the short-term basis, that if we have to rotate flags, we would do that based on probably when it's most appropriate for those flags to be flown, based on the time of the year, as as the proclamations are done, or as soon thereafter as we possibly can. So if that kind of an idea is, I think I was trying to capture everything that was being said at the policy committee. Those who are at the policy committee, if you can, let me know if I misspoke on any of those items.
Thanks, Stuart. That sounds right to me. I think my only question or sort of like pokiness in that is for the city. I think there was a sense of like the idea committee is not uniquely, but definitionally designed to like have a sense of whether a flag would meet a certain need or purpose. And so, for instance, to say United Against Hate, this fits the proclamation of United Against Hate. And all of a sudden now it's the city manager who's saying, yes, that meets the criteria or intention of this proclamation.
Okay.
And not to
No, I think the city
out on,
manager,
who the city manager might be or what their
Right.
intent or anything, but I'm thinking of it's like, oh well, could someone with like a Christian organization be like, well, this is United Against Hate too.
right. No,
And
I think, yes.
the manager is
No, I understand. I think, I think the city manager would be appreciative of any support, that he or she would have in the future on, how do you define what's in the proclamation? I think the bigger one is, what the concern of the committee is not dragging this out through a long political process where, if you went to the city council to make that determination, that could be 3-4 meetings down the road and have a lot of people in the public coming and speaking on both sides of the issue. And therefore the city council, may, depending on what their schedule is, delaying it out beyond the point where it made sense.
right.
So I think, having it be reviewed by the idea committee and then, just implemented by the city manager as opposed to having to go through an entire city council process makes a lot of sense.
I think that sounds right.
Isn't anybody else having audio issues?
Yeah, I think your mic is a little weird.
Yeah, maybe
Okay. It's a little.
Unfortunately, Mangesh, it sounds like you're underwater.
That's a good way of putting it.
Better?
Much
I'm on a
better.
wire. Okay, great. Yeah. So no. So let me start all over again. Yeah. So I think Stuart, you captured it very well, the discussion that we had, and I think this sets the stage really nicely. And in addition to the counsel that you received as well, so that way we have kind of a 2-point validation. The idea committee recommends based on any request, if it falls within the framework of the IDE attributes and the definitions that we have laid out, that we have agreed upon. And in addition, of course, once there's a proclamation, that also gives it another vector and validation. Given that we have this process in place, I think, and it's great that we're putting this policy in place, and it basically we're adhering to what other cities have done, and categorizing any request that comes in. And the city's decision to accept or deny the request is going to be essentially government speech. So I think that also makes it a strategy that is consistent and a policy that's consistent with other cities and also defensible. What I would also suggest is that we have some sort of a flow chart, given that there are these kind of inputs coming in, and to help not only the staff, but maybe when there are members of the public who might want to know what is the process, then maybe we could have a flow chart, because there are multiple inputs and multiple drivers towards arriving at the final decision. So that might be helpful to create some sort of a quick at a glance overview, and make that available for the community or to the staff as well. And once the process is fairly well understood across the community, then there may be no need for it. But in the initial stages, I would think that would be helpful.
I mean, we can add something like that to the staff report, maybe not make it a part of the procedure itself, but add it to the staff report as a reference to the procedure.
Okay, yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah, and I think it's also a good idea to have consider the flagpoles in the Sierra Point, upcoming Sierra Point plan. There is an area, in fact, which is south of the current yacht club, which the current design company CNG thinks that there isn't much that can be done there because it is at a very low level. In fact, the flag poles at the Peace Park might be ideally suited for that, because there's nothing that you can build over there, because it's given that it's at a very low level, and there is a risk of it being submerged during king tide, and there is also kind of the whole level is sinking there every few years. So this might actually be the Peace Park with the flagpoles there would, that's definitely going to be I think that can be considered for that particular area, that particular patch in that overall, project.
Unfortunately, that may take, I think we've talked about it a little bit, it might take a couple of years to make that come to fruition. So in the meantime, we may end up having to rotate flags.
Yeah.
Through the two that we currently have, depending on how that works. So, I mean, I think, and there will, and I think one of the controversies that you'll see in town is like when one comes up and one goes, when one goes up and another one has to come down, I think people will say, why did you take that one down? And I think that one will just be based on like the rotation of like what time of year it is. And,
right.
I can, fully see that if we do the Stand United with Asians, you can have that one go up in January and then maybe take the Pride flag down and then have the Pride flag go up during Pride Month, and maybe even for Juneteenth to put up a Juneteenth flag as opposed to Black Lives Matters flags. And you just kind of rotate through the different flags that we have for, and make them appropriate for the times of year that they are. Yeah.
Okay, that's all I had.
Question. Did you guys discuss the designing of the flags and any procedures related to that?
I think from a design perspective, the policy committee didn't get into that. I think one of the, I think the city attorneys would say that something that would be considered a representative of the group that you're trying to commemorate would be the best way that you can do it. I think the challenge at the moment for Stand United with Asians is that there's no real group flag that we found, and that's why I think the reason why the events committee worked on trying to design something that would make sense for us as a city. But I think in the future we would try and find flags that were more representative of the ideas that were being presented, so that way no one was questioning why this flag and not that flag kind of thing. Because I think that's the other thing. Unfortunately, I think if as the idea committee goes through it, if there's 2 or 3 flags that commemorate the same type of an idea, you might have different people saying, put this one up or that one up. And I think that would be, I think where the city manager would be very appreciative for having the idea committee say, this one meets the definitions of what we're trying to do the best.
Mm-hmm. And obviously there'd be copyright ramifications and reviews.
Correct. I mean, we would have to buy them through the proper sources to buy them and not just make our own. And the other one is, from a public works perspective, our public works director very much wants to make sure that whatever flags we fly are capable of withstanding 30 to 40 mile-an-hour winds that we get in town, and they don't just tatter, because I think from a practical standpoint, flags that begin to look tattered seem more disrespectful for people. So just want to make sure that flags that we purchase are outdoor flags. There's a lot of, the public works director made the comment that there are a lot of flags that are shown that are indoor flags and are not really weather resistant. And he wants to make sure that whatever we do has that ability to be weather resistant. I mean, staff spent probably a half an hour walking through this type of, walking through this issue today as a group, so that way we'd be best prepared to talk to you tonight from all different aspects. So if there's no other comments about it, what the staff can do is for your next idea committee, have a draft proposal for what the procedures would be. And then we'll talk with the attorney whether or not that needs to go to the city council, or if it can just be something that the idea committee puts in place itself. And we'll let you know that at the next meeting.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Miyoko, did you have any inputs?
Not right now, no.
Okay, all right.
Thank
you. Yeah, I think in the events subcommittee, we were talking about possibly we're thinking of different ways to gather outreach from the community on flag designs as well. And I think that could come into play where there aren't any flags that are very representative of certain proclamations. For example, the Stand with Asians. And we had talked about that. And Caroline, do you remember the discussion? Was there anything you want to add about what we talked about?
Yeah, so on that event subcommittee meeting on November 1st, we talked about trying to incorporate elements from that poster that was on display at Day in the Park, which had the graphics contributed from a youth at last year's Stand with Asians vigil. A couple of days after that event subcommittee meeting, staff, Ingrid and myself got together with Christian to just maybe draft up a potential design, which was in the packet. I don't know if you wanted to look at that right now, and you can share my screen. But let me just pull it up. So this was the poster. As we sat down around the table to look at a design, it was a little bit difficult to find the exact formation of the hands. So we kind of stepped away from the hands and just kind of went with what the resident had requested, of just very bold, big letters of Stand with Asians, and then found this kind of like sunset, sunrise graphic, and just started playing around with that basically, and seeing how the different colorways looked. We felt like the colorway from this first one was most like the poster, and that's how, yeah, we determined that first design. But kind of also reminded us of like the Brisbane hats too. There's a little bit of similarity, but that was the second design, and then the third one, just variations in the color. This was designed to be printed on a 3x5 size flag, as we were informed that has to be, any flag has to be smaller than the United States flag. So that's where we are right now. We did put out some information about tonight's meeting, that we were going to be talking about this design, and also the potential procedures for flag display. So we haven't really debuted it beyond the staff report packet and the meeting at this point.
Well, I really like the first one. The colors kind of are very appealing and kind of really draws your attention to it. So I think really good job with that one.
I think that might have been Christian's favorite too, if I recall correctly. So, yeah, we wanted to show the full committee first before sharing it more widely with the community, but we do have like a Google form all ready to get other input from the community, if that's what the committee would like us to do as the next step. But these are what we wanted to show tonight. We have to copyright this. I don't know. Like, this is a different new realm for all of us.
Well, it's automatically copyrighted.
What was that?
It's automatically copyrighted. You don't have to register. It's just that you can't go after people for statutory damages unless you register.
Okay.
Little tidbit, yeah.
Thank you for that.
So this becomes the like de facto Stand with Asians flag. We can't get mad at other people for using it if we haven't copyrighted it, is what you're saying.
Well, I think
it's a copy left.
it'd be great if another city adopts it. Yeah, that.
Yeah, I think we're pretty far from having any,
Yeah.
any issues.
I think the lead time for ordering flags was about 6 to 8 weeks. And so it kind of does fall in line with the timeline that we talked about also at the events subcommittee of that late January
Mhm.
timeframe.
So I just have a question of like, if we approve it and then what is the time frame for the like community input, and what happens if they're like overwhelmingly like, no, we don't want this, then what would the plans be? Or is it like we present them with options that they choose from, so that either like no matter what, we're moving forward with something?
Yeah, well, that's kind of how the form was set up right now. We just have the same 3 colorways as the options. I'm just trying to look at the calendar to see how much time we can allot for.
I think one issue area that would need clarity around, like the flag procedure would be like if we are able to fly, flags that are just locally created, or does it have to be a legitimate, quote unquote, legitimate standard flag? So that's the issue that I think our legal counsel raised, and we might need to get clarity around that in this particular case, because there's no real Stand with Asians kind of flag per se.
So when would we get more clarification from council on what we can and can't do in terms of designs in situations like this?
Perhaps by the next meeting, but I think what they were saying was it would make more sense to have like locally created flags as posters or other items aside from a flag.
Mhm.
Unless the other option would be to fly a flag that is kind of, like we said, like kind of branded. So that would be like the Stop AAPI Hate flag, Stop Asian Hate flag logo. I think that would be kind of similar to the Black Lives Matter flag, since that is kind of like the more known logo for the movement per se. Or like we could have other, like not a flag per se that flies in the community flag, the community park, but maybe like small flags or small banners that people can hold or make a statement with, like how many, like maybe we can put up as like a display, like miniature flags, I don't know, to commemorate all the number of AAPI hate that the community has endured during the pandemic, something like that, and like order the X amount of flags to commemorate that, something like that. But I'm really not sure. If that would be an issue.
Well, I know we talked I recall we talked during the policy meeting about like the difference of the signaling of Stop Asian Hate versus Stand with Asians. And so I wonder, I don't know, Stuart, I wonder if this comes back to the like sort of proclamation question of like, if as long as it's within the intention of a proclamation, can a flag say anything? Or do we have to have something where it's like, if there exists a flag that like this message would be received under, we defer to that flag?
I think the concern that the attorneys have is if you do flags that aren't commonly used, you may then run into an issue where the public feels as if you are using a wrong type of flag. So I think we just need to work with the attorneys to clarify what happens if there's a proclamation that doesn't have a commonly used flag associated with it, and how do, we would like to honor that. We would like to have that be flown in some fashion in the city. And the question then comes, and I think Ingrid captures it, is, do we, maybe one of the things we do is we look at the banners that we fly up and down Visitation and around there. That may be a different way to do that. And it's just a matter of just trying to work with, making sure that what we're doing is not going to cause a potential Supreme Court lawsuit for the city.
Is the idea there that we would use the commonly recognized flag on the flagpole and also incorporate the community design somewhere else, or that we would only use the community design? Because I could also see an instance where that could be seen as that's a less than, it doesn't merit the flagpole.
Right. I mean, it's a challenging issue because, once you start talking about, saying that we're going to do one thing for one group and one thing for another group, every group is going to sit there and say, wait, that group got flags up and down Visitation, got banners up and down Visitation. We only got a flag on a flagpole. We'd rather have it up and down Visitation. I think as Ingrid said, let's, staff will have further conversation with the attorneys and try and resolve something that might make some sense and incorporate that as part of the procedure that we bring back to you next month or the month after, depending on when you actually meet next. Because I think next month we would be meeting on winter solstice, and I think we've already expressed a desire not to meet on that day. So it might giving us a couple of months to come back with a procedure may be enough time for the attorneys to agree on something.
Would there be time then to have a flag ready for Lunar New Year though, or is this something that we sort of need to figure out now if we want to?
Well, I think if staff works with the attorneys ahead of time and, and it makes some sense, we can probably, pre-ordering a flag is not going to be the make or break thing for the city.
Okay.
For the city.
Thank you.
That's true.
So-
We should just put in the order and continue conversations concurrently.
So you, Caroline, you said 6 to 8 weeks, right? So that would be at the 8 weekend, we would just make it through Lunar New Year. I believe it's third week of January. So
Yeah, I'm saying January 28th.
21st, 22nd, I think.
I think
I Googled it and
22nd January.
oh, it's 22nd.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one question here, if you're done, William.
Yeah, I am.
So let me make sure I understand this. So in this case, Stand with Asians, since there is no precedent flag out there, that is, that any particular organization affiliated with the same cause has put out, at the same time, we cannot, if we design a flag locally, that is, the council seems to be concerned about us putting up a locally designed flag. But in this case, we agreed that the policy here is going to be fundamentally based on the premise that the flags that are accepted to be flown on the flagpoles will be government speech. So, and they'll be based on a certain proclamation that the city council does. So likewise, a corollary of that proclamation can be, if there's no pre-existing flag for that particular cause, there is sufficient latitude that is granted to the city, to the city council, to be able to adopt a locally designed flag.
And I think
That makes logical sense.
Absolutely, but as we all know, the law doesn't actually always make logical sense in and of itself. But that will be the conversation that staff will have with the city attorneys to make sure that they understand what the concerns are and why this may deviate from what they would say is the most conservative legal advice they can give us, because you always hope that your attorney gives you the most conservative advice to begin with, and then you can work with them to find how do you do something that fits within the law that will pretty much, you know, may not be bulletproof, but will at least keep us mostly safe if it ends up in court.
Right.
I mean, it's always, I mean, you know, attorneys do what they do, just like, you know, as a finance person, I will always, you know, my first idea will always be as conservative as possible, because I'd like to preserve what we have. And then as we start talking about, okay, but here's the other issues that are important for the community, and how can we make those issues work for us? And I think the two, you know, the attorneys that we work with are very, very qualified and very much understand, you know, making the, you know, having the community keep its uniqueness and keep its values and its character the way it wants to. And, you know, they really work hard with us to make sure that everything is done the best way that it can be. So we will have that conversation.
Okay. Great, thanks.
You know, it seems like we should really table this until we get further clarification, but I guess, Caroline, are we all in agreement that we are gonna order the flag while this all happens?
Well, we have to see, the committee has to decide, do we put it out to get any feedback before ordering one of these designs? Because yes, sorry for misspeaking earlier, January 22nd, so that's about 9 weeks
Mhm.
away.
And then if we don't have a meeting next month, then the following meeting would be 4 days before Lunar New Year. That's not very useful.
We could have about a week to get any input, if anyone has any input, but then we'll have to order something.
Is it just
What you could do is you can have a week of input and then have, you know, delegate it to the events committee to review the input and make any changes. So, I mean, you don't have to meet as a whole committee, you can meet as just as a subcommittee to talk about it.
I'm okay with that.
I will start sharing it.
And I guess we'll schedule a special events committee meeting. Well, it would have to be. Next week is Thanksgiving week.
Oh,
Yeah. Okay, so the week after Thanksgiving, how many weeks does that give us? 2, 3, 4, 5.
Sorry, I just want to confirm there isn't an issue with the fact that this isn't a like established flag.
Yeah, but I think the consensus was that ordering the flag, that's a minor issue. And we just
Right. I was just wondering, is it like we should order the like against Asian hate flag because that's established? Or is there, as long as everyone else is comfortable with that, we're not like opening up another can of worms by being like, what do you think about this? And we're also going to go into this unknown space of like not having a process for new flags. Ingrid, I know that you brought that up, so I want to make sure that like that all feels good with everyone. I'm fine with it, but wanted to make sure.
Well, we could have a conversation with legal counsel, like maybe this week, and kind of get clarity around that issue and discuss it further. So based on that conversation, we could or could not, depending on what legal counsel say, share and get community input between now and the next subcommittee meeting. I guess we can update the group via email what needs to be scheduled.
Well, I think that timeline might work if we potentially have a meeting the following week, the week after Thanksgiving, the events committee meets, and then that gives us roughly 6-7 weeks. And kind of really close there, but
Mhm.
I think that's the quickest we can really do things.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. You said you wanted to meet next week?
No, if we do meet the week after
Mhm.
Thanksgiving,
Mhm.
that gives us about 7 weeks of lead time for the Lunar New Year. So yeah, I'm open to just scheduling this kind of behind the scenes after council has advised you guys further on what we can and can't do, or at least preliminarily. That way we can kind of get a head start in this.
Yeah, so we might not, I don't know, depending on when we can talk to legal counsel, it may not be something that we share on Friday, you know, because what's the point if they're not comfortable
Mhm.
sharing these options with the wider community. I just know that just recalling the resident's original request of like he did bring up the stop at API hate, and then I just recall him being very intentional in asking for it to be the more positive version. Oh, there's
That's
that to consider too, or at least tell legal counsel about.
Well, I guess we kind of wait and see,
Mm-hmm.
and then we'll play it by ear. That's all we can really do.
Yeah,
And
it was.
Asian and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is also May. So if we miss the New Year, maybe we can have a resolution by May.
It's true. And we did do a proclamation. Okay, we'll keep the committee updated, and especially the events subcommittee.
Sounds good.
Okay.
All right. Does anyone else have any comments on the flag issue?
No, I think we're on the right track. I think yes, time is of the essence in accommodating the request. At the same time, we need to get it right, and this is the first time. So I think there are a lot of factors to be considered, a lot of constraints, and we need to take a circumspect view. So I think staff is definitely on the right track, getting council's input and balancing that with our own recommendations and the community desires. So we'll get there. Let's try to meet the Lunar New Year target date. But if that doesn't happen, we have, as was pointed out, the AAPI month in May, which worst case we will be able to accommodate during the flag request during that month.
All right. Well, if no one else has any comments or questions or anything, I guess we move on to the staff report. I know Stuart had already mentioned that we have to discuss scheduling the next meeting. And Stuart kind of mentioned that our next meeting is supposed to be scheduled for the 21st of December, and that's the winter solstice and right before the holidays. So is there an actual staff report, or is it more open discussion?
It sounds like there needs to be a time to meet to discuss further the flag procedures. So it's up to you. It's up to the group to determine if you'd like to have that conversation in December or table it till January.
Well, yeah. Ingrid, can you let us know what days are not available in December because of other council meetings or committee meetings?
Are you talking specifically about Wednesdays?
Well, yes, not really.
Mm.
Because I'm not too aware of the scheduling for the other committees, and I know we can't really quash for them.
Yeah, I'm not aware if there's any cancellation for the month of December. But for me, I know that there's council meetings on Thursdays for the next, like the 8th and then the 15th. Those are Thursday meetings.
Complete Streets meets on the first Wednesday, December 7th. Park and Rec is on the second Wednesday, the 14th. So Wednesdays are not.
Yeah,
It
Wednesdays.
works well for December.
I'm guessing we definitely want to meet before the 16th. Because then that 19th is like the holiday week, the start of it. Well, I'm actually going to be out of the country starting the 23rd, so anytime after that won't work.
Of December.
Yeah, I'll be gone for 2 weeks.
I'm gone starting the 14th.
Okay. So it seems like if we do meet, it has to be
Should
12,
we schedule a meeting like that last week of November, the 30th?
Is that enough time, if given the Thanksgiving holiday, for you all to meet with legal and have feedback, or
Oh, that's true.
is the first, maybe the week of the 5th?
So that week would have to be Monday, Tuesday, or Thursday. I'm guessing no one wants to meet on Friday.
No, Thursday's a city council meeting.
Oh,
So
I
maybe
guess Monday, Tuesday.
Monday or Tuesday.
Right, okay.
The 5th or the 6th.
Mhm.
Those both work for me.
Yes, same here.
I think I would prefer Monday since we have I'll be in a conference, but I could technically still log in. But I might be driving up to a conference that evening.
And the Festival of Lights is on the 4th.
Oh, yes. It is.
Maybe it will be nice to have a reflection on the festival the next day. Or not, maybe that's like too much Brisbane.
Monday the 5th, does that work?
That works for me. Everyone else?
Let's say 6.
6 o'clock. Okay.
Does it not work for anyone?
Our last meeting of the year.
And what time slot are we targeting? 6 p.m.
6?
Okay. Yeah, for now that works for me, but I'll let you know in case it doesn't.
I have a question about that meeting. I know this is a city committee, and so there are like certain parameters we have to stay within, but I'm also feeling like the remit of the idea committee and the like United Against Hate work of the like this I Am poem. Can we all write a This I Am poem and share with each other at that meeting, or is that would that be on the scope of a city committee type thing? It feels like we're doing very important work, and it would be nice to know you all in a different way. It was so nice getting to share your like family and childhood candies and stuff. So I offer that and just wonder if that's something that we can do, but no pressure.
So like homework for this?
I don't maybe just start with like a check-in question.
It's a great template. I was just reading the kids' templates and it's like, it's very telling for sure. You giggle, you laugh, you cry.
Yeah, I remember we spoke, in the first meetings, we sort of said what brought us to the work, but I don't know. If you all are interested, I would love to know more about you guys as people.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I think it'd be fun. As
Sure,
long-
yeah.
yeah,
As long as,
it's up on anyone's toes.
No, we won't be judged on our poetic
Rhyming
artistic
or
abilities. Yeah, no iambic pentameter required. Just I'm interested to know more about you all as individuals, and if that's okay.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think
see
it'd
Christian
be
on
great
the
for the public.
call.
If the public is watching, it'd be great for them to understand us a little more too. And our background. Yeah. Thanks, Alex. I think it's a great idea.
I think Clerical provided the template, so we can ask Christian to share that and share it with the community prior to the
Did
meeting.
we lose Christian or?
I think so.
Yeah.
Well, we'll let him know.
Mhm.
We need your help again, Christian.
Great. Sounds good. Are there any other staff announcements? Nope.
None.
Yeah. Any committee member, any announcements or anyone wanting to make a report? All right. Well, I guess this meeting is now adjourned at 8:09 p.m. Thank you, everyone.
thank you. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
And see you guys on the 6th, 5th, 6th.
The 5th
The fifth at 6.
The 5th at 6th. That's what it was.
at 6.
Okay. All right.
Bye.
Good night.